So when you take attendance, it's going to default to today's date, which is really when you should be taking attendance. And so when you pull up the attendance, the very first one, typically what I will do if I have anyone who is absent, you're going to choose that absent code and you are going to put it in for that student. And so I go ahead and do any special codes first. So if I have any absentees, if I have maybe an athletic absent, maybe we have some students that are out because of athletic absences, those may be pre-filled. And so if that's pre-filled, leave them alone. That means the administration has already put those in. Or if you're responsible for doing that, you can put those codes in. And I do all of my special codes first. And then for the rest of the students, I am going to choose fill code. Now you can do a fill code with any of those. For example, if your entire class is on a field trip, you can choose a field trip. But typically I use this for the students that are here. If you choose present, leave this alone, overwrite existing codes because you've already put the special ones in, and then you can choose fill. And you will see that it will then put present for all the rest of your students except for the ones that you have put in special codes for. Now, when you are adding assignments, you just are going to click this plus button. And you are now that you have set up your categories, you're going to choose the category that you want it to go under. You are going to give it a title. You want this title to be pretty short and to the point. You'll notice it only gives you 50 characters to put there. And keep in mind that as your parents are looking at the gradebook, if you have too much writing in here, it's going to be overwhelming on their end. It's going to be very crowded based on how the parents look at it. So I will typically only put a title. I do not typically put a huge description here because that description will show up on the grading piece of it. And so I use those longer descriptions to put into like my homework section of my lesson plan. That's where the parents can get details on upcoming assignments. I don't typically use this here because it gets a little overwhelming. So I would just put, whatever I have assigned to the class. I would put that description in there, pretty straightforward. You can choose the date you've assigned it. You can choose the date due, and then you can go to save and grade. That will bring up all of your students. Again, if this is a homework grade and you have one or two students that maybe didn't complete it, but the rest of the class completed it and it was a completion grade, you can put in the individual grades for the students that maybe didn't complete. And you can use the notes field to the right to make a note as to why the grade was reduced. Or maybe you have a student that is absent and you're going to make a note of that in the gradebook. Then you do have the option to fill grades, and you can say, well, the rest of the students turned it in and completed it. You can do the same thing that you did for taking attendance. You can fill the grades and it will fill it in for the rest of the way. And you will see that that is there. And when you go into the gradebook, now you have an assignment. I've color-coded my homework to be yellow. You can see the students' average is there. It will give you the gradebook average. You'll notice that the person that was absent, it did not affect their grade. And so that is going to be every assignment that you do. And when I go into summary now, you will notice that I do have a summary for my classwork and I do not have any grades in for quizzes and tests. And as I add those, that will be there. And so this is where I like to view my gradebook by summary because it kind of does it a little bit more neatly. And then if I want detail, I can click on the individual type of assignment and get the details of the assignments that I've given.